Hey, what's up guys? Video number 3 of the entire base set review. Going into water now, we're going to jump right into it because it's going to be a long video and I hope you're ready for it. Hopefully I put those chapters underneath there for you. And let's get into it. Krakkid, 2-2 for 1. It's got a very huge buff from its prototype form. So when you cast a Krakkid, you can target an Celestial on the opponent's field. That Celestial cannot attack. And its effect is negated as long as its Krakkid is enchanted, which is a huge buff. So that basically now turns this into a pseudo Gorgon's Gaze, but slow. A best part about this card though is again just now that it's cast and not normal cast, you grab this with your Foamee and you stop whatever your opponent's doing for a moment. Very nice buff. A lot of water cards that we kind of like, oh man, if this was on special, it'd be really good. This just made the card better because Foamee is a strategy in water and Krakkid is now a Foamee strategy in water. Like you run one of these in your Foamee deck, maybe two in your Foamee deck. We like to say Foamee army decks. You're just gonna change your Foamees out. This will do the trick. Is it a great card? Is it S tier? No. It's like a solid B now because it negates effects. So if you have a pesky effect that you need to get rid of, like Leonite or Sonicor, you just say, go away, stop that. And then on your turn, you just go, okay, now that your Leonite is unable to use its ability, pop with an Earthquake. Haha. Yeah, I love Krakkid now. Krakkid just got a huge buff. I love it. It's great. We're moving on to the next card. Krakking, I believe its stats got changed a little bit, but it's a 5/6 for 2. When you cast it, you can target 2 unoccupied slots in your opponent's celestial row, and those slots cannot be used as long as Krakking is enchanted. I mentioned in the leak video, the only consistent play I see this being is in a sideboard. If you see a lot of go wide decks, a lot of Idolo decks, a lot of Nectar decks, and a lot of Bear decks with the Scout Ursmog stuff. If going super wide, like fast, isn't a strategy, this will not see a lot of play, but it's nice to have some kind of floodgate where we can say, okay, you're trying to go for 3+ Celestials this turn. No, you can only have 2, and your 2 things, so you're trying to play go wide deck, are not big enough to get past my Krakking. Other than that, Krakking I don't think is super great. I mean, maybe the Magical Christmas Hand. You have Golden Apple of Discord, Rise from the Ashes, Tadpuff, and 2 Krakkings in your hand on turn 1. Then you can Tadpuff to special out your Krakking. You can Golden Apple to discard the other Krakking, and then use Rise from the Ashes to get your other Krakking out. Now your opponent has no Elestrals. You pass for their first turn. They go, I can't play Elestrals. That'd be hilarious. Other than that, other than a sideboard option against go wide decks, it's not gonna see a ton of play, but it's nice to have a card like this. And I love the art. Like it's a nice little like destroying something. It's cool. Moving on to Sluggle. We saw this Sluggle already with its updated text. It's now a 2/2 instead of a 2/4, but it got a buff to its ability where it's when you cast, not normal. So just like Krakkid, you can go get it with your Foamee, pop it into play, use its effect. You can get it with Rise of Ashes, use its effect. Get 3 water now, so it's 3 water instead of 2 water. I think this is a great buff for Sluggle. You're going to see it in your Foamee Army decks. You're going to see it in if Water Reanimator becomes a thing. And you're going to see it in just generally any water slower deck because it's, oh no, my Foamee died. Let me get 3 water back. And you have nothing else to attack me with. Let me now go into Capregal for the Foamee Army shenanigans. Good card. I think Foamee Army really got a lot of buffs. If you don't know what Foamee Army is, it's kind of our meme thought of you just play 3 Foamees, 3 Capragals, and a bunch of 1 waters to just plop stuff out with Foamees. But yeah, it's nice to see some stuff get buffed like that. Glauby got a completely different effect. It's 4/8, which means play a defense position, maybe play an attack position with Galaxea. Turn 2 water from your Underworld to your Spirit deck. Good card, you know? If this stays on board, you're just going to heal every turn, which is nice. It could be a control finisher where you're just healing every turn. Your opponent can't deal with it if, like, water super tough control becomes a thing. It's not great. You maybe run 1 of it in a deck, maybe 2 of. I don't think it's going to see a ton of play, but its effect is solid. You know, just if you play a deck that you know you stick this and you're just going to keep churning out its ability, maybe in a Tadpuff deck where you can get this out turn 1 and then recover all your spirits for it, yeah, I see a team play. Just it's not going to be a 3 of in a deck, I don't think, as a main strategy, except maybe against like super heavy burn. That's about it. Next card, Majesea. This is one of my favorite cards. Just like it's such a cool card. So that's 614, but not really 6 stack because it's got an ability that increases the attack for every enchanting water in your field. So it's kind of like your Tectorus, your Valkyrie's ability. And any water enchanted Celestial on your field, regardless what element they are, as long as they have water on them, can't be targeted by Celestial effects. And if you know anything about the game right now, Celestial effects are kind of the most proactive removal with Boombat, with Kindleo. So if you get a Majesea out and you just don't attack with it, and they have to deal with it with Earthquake or Laurels, and that's it. So if they're not running Earthquake and they're not running Laurels, you just stick a Majesea, nice big Majesea in play. They can't interact with it right away. It can protect your board, and you can play like a Galaxy behind it. Protect your Galaxy. This then becomes like a 20 attacker, and yeah, it's a solid card. It's gonna see the most play in like Water Reanimator potentially, and Water Ramp decks potentially, and maybe a one of in like Capregal Foamee Army stuff. But that's besides the point. I think its biggest strength is the fact that water is very good at getting big things out fast. It's a big thing with a good protection effect, so you can get it out fast. Next, the namesake of Foamee Army shenanigans. Like the 2/3 for 1. When it's destroyed in battle, you can special cast Celestial with enchantment cost of 1 water from your deck in defense position. You go get your Sluggles, you go get your Krakkids, you go get your Krakkatugas, you go get your Mustaches, you get your Galaxy maybe. Like, it gets you any 1 water. It's going to do a lot of work, and because of how good this ability is, and even if you have to, you throw your Foamee into your opponent's Elestral to go get another Elestral. Like, I have had games where I've thrown my Foamee into my opponent to go get a Galaxy in defense, even though it doesn't want to be in defense now, so that my other creature with a high defense could then attack over something. So it's the toolboxy card in water. It's great that it's a special cast, so it comes right to the field if you need its field effect. And it's a namesake. Like, yeah, again, Foamee Army is the thing because of Foamee and Capregal. So what's Capregal? Capregal has a couple changes to 7/4 for 2 now, instead of an 8/5. But it got a buff. So now instead of when this Capregal destroys an Celestial in battle, it can special cast an Celestial with enchantment cost 1 water. It used to be just Foamee from your underworld and defense position, so it's not an attack position anymore, unfortunately. But you just go get your Foamee back, or you go get your Sluggle back and heal up, and you have an extra body on the board your opponent has to deal with. You can go back into Capregal, you can get your Rise from the Capregal, your Sluggle paid for it. This is another reason why Water Reanimator is kind of a thing, because you reanimate 1-drops Capregal, and you reanimate your Capregal with your Rise from, or your 1-drops the Rise from to get your Capregal out to get another reanimated target out. It's a good card. Will it see a ton of play? I hope. I love the idea of Water Reanimator. I want to make it work. And if it's going to work, it's going to be this card and Rise From and Sluggle and Foamee. Or you just play Foamee Army Toolbox and have fun there. Next up, we have Typhlant. So this is our first water card that discards something. It's a 2/2 for 1. Terrible stat lines, great ability. Like, you'd be okay playing this turn 1, discard a card from your opponent's hand at random pass. That's okay. And if you can get more Typhlants in play, you Foamee out some Typhlants, you Capregal out some Typhlants from your underworld. You know, if you can repeat this Typhlant effect, you're going to be golden. It's super strong. Discarding cards from your opponent's hand early game is going to do a lot of work. So I think Typhlant's going to be really good. And that's about all I can say about it. You know, discard stuff, it's good. Eyevory works with Typhlant. Obviously, it's his Ascension line. 6/8 for 2, which are alright stats. But it gets better. For every Typhlant in your underworld, it gets +2 attack. Then you can expend 1 water from it in order to special cast its Typhlant from underworld and attack position. So now this card, you can either make it really big on attack stat, or trade off disrupt your opponent's hand and get another body on the board. It's a really nice kind of like A or B situation where it's like I can go aggressive with it because it's late game and I need to close out and I use all my Typhlants to disrupt my opponent's hand, and now they're open for the attack. Or it's I play it mid game and I still need something to do to disrupt my opponent's hand. You know, they might have some counter runes in play that I need to deal with first. I'll put this in defense and get those Typhlants out to disrupt my opponent's hand until I'm ready to go. I think Ivory's. I mean, all the water 2-drops except for Glauby are insane. And this just adds to it. Like, this card does a lot of work. Yeah, it gets answered by all the removals, but it's okay because if it gets answered by removal, at least you get your Typhlant back and stuff like that. So as long as you find ways to get your Typhlants in your underworld early and consistently through Foamees and stuff, you're golden. It's a good card. Great card, actually. It's going to help water control decks, and even in like Thunder Water hand disruption decks, it'll see some play. I think it's mostly going to see play in like water control-esque matchups. Smoltuga, 2/5, 1 water. When you normal cast it, go search your deck for a 1 fire Elestral, add it to your hand. It's not as good as it used to be because we have a lot more defensive options for water. But if you're playing water fire, like water fire, Ignectar, burn with Krakkatuga or something, yeah, it works. You know, the best target to get with this is either Warmite, Kinleo, Ignectar, or maybe you're playing like Water Bears. That's a fun deck name. Just playing water with the bear decks. It's a great way to get out your Urzmog or something, and then next turn you play Urzmog and do some special summon shenanigans to get out Majesea or something. It's an okay card. It does what it does on the baseline. If you need ways to search out fire more consistently, you splash 2 water in the deck, you throw some Smoltuga in, you'll be happy. It's 5 defense, it probably lives 1 turn. Krakkatuga, as I just mentioned, it's a good card. The best part about water X cards, so cards that are 2 costs, that cost 1 water and another element, get them out with Tadpuff early. And they all seem to have something to do with direct damage, which makes Tadpuff burn a potential deck. It's a 4/9 for hybrid water fire. You can expend 2 fire to force your opponent to expend 3. So it's a 4/9, so it lives in defense pretty easily. And it's an eruption on a stick. Maybe you play it in fire, but if this sees play, it's going to see play as a splash fire in a water deck or in like a Tadpuff burn deck. It's seen some fringe play, but a lot of people end up dropping it from their burn deck, so it's going to have to be either mid-range or control finisher if it's going to want to see play. Maybe in that Tadpuff kind of strategy of specialing it out really fast. I don't know how much Krakkatuga is going to see play. I love the card. I'm trying to make it work. But unfortunately, again, as I mentioned, a lot of people cut it from their deck fairly early from their aggressive decks. It's definitely a card that if it stays on the board in a control matchup where you are in a control deck and you're going up against attack aggro that can't get over it, you're just going to go, I'm not attacking Krakkatuga, but I'm hitting you in the face directly with Krakkatuga every turn. Solid effect. It's good. Will it see a ton of play? I don't know. I'm trying to make it work. Verutaqua, one of the best 1-drops. All the water 1-drops are really strong. I have to stop. I can't think of any bad 1-drop in water. Verutaqua, 3/1 for 1 water. When it enters battle with a defense position Elestral, you can negate that Elestral's effect and destroy it. If you do this, Verutaqua deals no damage this battle. So, what does it do? So you declare the attack is going through, so they didn't shield it or anything. It negates the effect of whatever it's attacking, which could be relevant. Maybe it's like in the future, maybe it's like some kind of board buff or something, or it's a undeath effect like Foamee. It says, no, it's not going to work, and I'm just going to destroy it before I deal any damage to it, and I'm not going to deal any damage for the rest of this turn. Or not this turn, but this battle. Which isn't super relevant, but I get it's there to kind of be problem-solving text in a sense if something weird happens. It's a good card. You play with Tsunami, play with Altar of the Stars, you have a fun day. If you don't know what Tsunami is yet, we'll get to it a little bit later in the video. And it just taps everything down to defense position that's not water enchanted. Verutaqua, it's one of the best removal attackers. It's one of the best attackers in water. It does work. It's a solid, like, in the deck it is going into, it's a lot of, defense manipulation with Sorlets and Tsunamis and stuff. It'll do a lot of work. Javelantis, it's its ascension form. Javelantis, if Verutaqua is the control, Javelantis is the punching up the aggro. So Javelantis 6/3 for 2. Now, not great stats. And it has to destroy something to use its ability, and then the opponent expends 3 when it destroys something that's in defense position. This card's not going to see play. Like, seriously, it won't see play. It'll see play in some really fun fringe decks, and that's okay. I like fun decks. I'm going to attempt to play a Javelantis deck eventually with tons of defense manipulation, chicanery, and shenanigans and all that jazz. I don't think it's never going to see super high level competitive play. At 6, it's not hitting a lot of defense. Any 2-drop doesn't die to this, just about. And your opponent might not even have something in defense, and then you might not even have Tsunami or Atlas Stars ready to go for it. And the payoff is not that great. Like, you could just remove it, like example. I play Kinleo, I Nexus 2 from Hephaestus Kinleo, which is super common, happens a ton in the game. Destroy an Celestial, and then attack you directly for 3. And I have something the next turn, if it's 6th round, I will destroy your next Celestial, do it again. This isn't really a do it again card, it's a okay, it's dead now card. Unfortunately. But it's a fun card. Alright. Tadpuff. Probably the strong. Again, as I just mentioned, all the water cards, all the water 1-drops are strong. This is the game changer for water, and it's again what I mentioned with Water X, like water, a 2-cost Celestial that's water plus something else, or water. This is the card that turns it on because this says, hey, that 2-drop, yeah, here you go, turn 1, you can play it. So it's a good card. Like, it's a 1/1. It's not there to attack, but it's there to say, hey, your 2-drops. I'm getting out a turn early. Maybe even a 3-drop on turn 1. You know, it's a really good card. I have used it to go super aggro before, where I had 3 Tadpuffs in my hand because I'm just sitting on Tadpuffs and I had nothing to do with them. All of a sudden, I threw my hand and my opponent's board was open. I'm like, sure. Tadpuff, attack you for 4 with my other Elestral on board. Yeah, it's a good card. It's a combo enabler card. That's all it's there to be. It's there to get you to 2 faster. It's what allows you to play more than 2 or 3 2-drops in a deck that's water, and you just pump them out. Like, water, if there's any deck that's going to run more than like 4 or 5 2-drops, it's going to be water because of Tadpuff and Foamee. Just straight up. Tadpuff, great card. Zephrog, so I guess the developers, when they're making this card, said Water X. Yeah, water plus another card. That's going to be what Tadpuff evolves into. The 4/3. When it attacks the opponent's spirit deck, or it can attack an opponent's spirit deck directly. When it deals damage directly to the opponent, you look at that card, or look at their hand, discard a card from it. So you discard the most threatening card in their hand, deal 2 damage effectively with this. It's a good card. That's an okay card. If you played an aggro deck, it's like some weird water aggro finisher, but there's not really much water aggro going on. If you're playing in a wind aggro deck, you're not playing this in a wind aggro deck, just trying to get out with Tadpuff. Maybe you're playing water wind aggro. I don't know if that'll work. But the best part about this card is you can attack directly to discard a card from your opponent's hand. So you deal some damage and get rid of a threat in their hand. Is that good enough? I don't know. This is going in my Tadpuff burn deck thing that I'm trying to make. I'll see if it works. I don't think it's going to see a ton of play because it dies to everything. Cool. You get it out right away. You attack them directly. You have a fun time discarding a card from the hand. They just go, okay, yeah, but I have a Necruff in play, and bye-bye Zephrog. Or I have any 4 attacker in play, or I extend into anything. It's dead. But it's a fun card. Good effect. And if it had, like, if it was like a 6/6, I would say it's probably strong. At a 4/3, it's a little weak, but it's a good card. Good effect. Station. Its claim to fame is being the highest defense 1 Elestral. And that's what makes it really good. This is the Riceros of water. You know, it's a card that you play in water. You just go, you're not attacking over this for whatever reason. And it potentially is a 6 attack for 1. But you have to expend an additional spirit. You can kind of compare that to Sorlet, where Sorlet, you spend 1 to destroy something because you're tapping it down to attack with Sorlet. Best part about this, though, is that it doesn't care what the opponent's Elestral is. You just say, okay, I have 6 attack, you have less. Cool, destroy it. Bye. That's what makes it good. You know, it's a great card to get with Foamee. Keep it in defense. You know, now they can't attack over it. You get your turn back. Do something with it. Good card. It's the 1/6 or 6/1 when you need it. 1/6 stats, like 6 stats, you can't underestimate. Great card. Next guy, Galaxea, combos really well with what Miss Ashley just said. 2/5 for 1 water. It's really a 5/2 because as long as it's enchanted, you swap water enchanted Celestial, swap their attack and their defense. So it's a 5/2 when you play it. Straight up, like, and you play this with your Moustcean, and you got a 6/1 to play and a 5/2 in play on your next turn. Like, Galaxy makes a water defense deck payoff. So if you want to play a high defense water deck, you play Galaxy in it, and this is like you set up your defense, you plop your Galaxy into play now that the board's open, turn all your things to attack position after the huge attack, and go pop, pop, pop. It's a card that really helped out the water prototype deck, and I think it'll see a lot of play, maybe not top tier play, but it's going to see a lot of play in general. Apheros, it's a draw engine. Draw engine in 1 water. 1 water, 2/4, Nexus 2 water. If you do, draw 2 cards. If you have Poseidon play, you go Poseidon to Apheros, Apheros back to Poseidon. You just got a free draw 2 with a 4 defense body. If you keep it in play next turn, you do it again. Go find this with your Foamee, play something, do some Nexus chicanery, draw cards. Apheros is going to be at minimum like a 1 or 2 of the most water decks, just because if you keep it on board, you're going to get so much card advantage, and that's what it's there for. Card advantage, drawing cards. Sometimes use it to Nexus for benefit, but generally it's a huge card advantage engine. You're just going to turn out deck. You get 2 of these in play, you're drawing 4 every turn. You get 3 of these in play, you're drawing 6 every turn. And if you get 2 in play, it's not unrealistic to get 4 or 3 in play, because you probably have enough protection and you're probably drawing into those Apheros at that point. Just careful when you're not milling yourself out with all the draws. Next up, Poseidon. As I mentioned previously, you can Nexus with Poseidon. So next Poseidon, you can enchant it up to 3 water. Nexus 1 water from this Poseidon per turn. So yeah, you just pass water around. Poseidon comes down, you pass around. He is literally, as I mentioned with the other guys, with the meter, it is just your bank. It's your water bank. Use it for water. You just it's your Nexus bank for water. That's it. Altar of the Stars. Use this Nexus Altar of the Stars, and attack with your Verutaqua. Ramp into your Majesea turn 1. Tadpuff, Poseidon, throw a Nexus on it, plot Majesea in play. Yeah, it's a card that's going to see a moderate amount of play, just because, even as a 1 of in most water decks, it's your next target. It does great with Apheros, does great with Altar of the Stars, does great to get Majesea out. It's an okay card, solid. And if we get some more really strong water 3-drops, it'll see a lot more play there too. Poseidon, good card. But there's another reason to play Poseidon now, because Trident of Poseidon just got a huge buff. Huge buff. Trident of Poseidon is now Trident of Sonicor. So its power Celestial gets 2, the 2-cost rune. Cannot be targeted by counter runes. So what counter runes cannot be targeted by? Not much. Altar, basically. But if you're Poseidon enchanted, your opponent can't cast counter runes, but you still can. So it's a super Sonicor ability. Made Trident of Poseidon. This card just went like through the glass ceiling. Is it? No, maybe not that high. It's like an A+ tier in the card now. Like, it just says you can still cast counter runes, which means you can protect this. Whatever this is on, you protect it. Whatever they're trying to destroy, you just try to protect it. Like, it does a lot of work. It's really good. Yeah, it's really good. It's an insane buff. If you know anything about Sonicor, better than Sonicor's ability. A little bit more effort to get to it, but man, still being able to play your counter runes and your opponent can't play theirs, huge buff. Card's gonna be so good. Mark my words. Any deck that can search out artifacts, instant. Well, okay, not any deck you need Poseidon. Any deck that has Poseidon, you're running at least one of these, and it's gonna do a ton of work. You're gonna be happy that it's in your deck. Tsunami. This is water's answer to things. This is what water does. Like, water just says, oh, you're attacking me. No, you're not. This card is super, super good. It actually got a slight nerf. It used to prevent positions changes until end of turn. It doesn't do that anymore. So if your opponent has Altar of the Stars, they can kind of answer by saying, oh, it's in defense now. Okay, it's back in attack. I'm going to continue to attack you. But this turns on your Verutaqua. Turns on your Javelantis if you play it. But its real good effect is your opponent goes to combat. You say, okay, everything on your side of the board is going to be tapped down to defense now. And on my turn, I'm just going to start swinging all your low defense stuff now. That's what it does. It sees splash play in a lot of colors of elements just because it's the closest thing we have to a board wipe right now. Because it's all ELESTRALS. And if you're not playing it in water, well, okay, you play it on their battle phase. Comes to your turn, you just go back into attack position and swing. Really good card. It's going to see a lot of play, a lot of play, a lot of play. Great, great, great card. And my favorite part about this card, if you look at that little Foamee on the right hand side there. Oh man, that Foamee is just like, ah! It's like so fucking high. Oh, it's so cool. I love it. Atlantis, Stadium Room, +1/+1. It's okay. I mentioned go see my comment on Foley Forest in my last video. It's alright. It's alright. And last but not least, this is Water's version of I guess another version of the Dictaurus Volcari's ability. Gets +1 defense for every enchanting one on the field. So just like Volcari's and such will get, this gets huge. It's okay with Galaxea. I don't think Oystress is the best of the cycle, but it's cool that Water has like these just huge defense bodies for cheat. Just Moustcean to 1/6. This thing you play, it's gonna be a 1/4, but you play with like a Poseidon, it's a 1/7. It's huge. So it's a cool card. It'll see some weird fringe play, I think, in some Foamee stuff. If Mono Water becomes a thing and it really, really cares about defense, any card that really cares about defense that's not Spinosect, this will go in with it. Other than that, I don't think it's too much play until we find more payoffs for high defense. But it's a fun card. I like it. And that's Water. So as I said in my last video, if you got here, I appreciate any support you guys can give me. If you don't want to support me, go support any other ELESTRALS creator out there. Just give them some love. Let's grow the family, basically. Like, jump into Discord, chat with us, send me a DM in Discord. If you hate my content, maybe don't. But I am open to conversation. If you have a complaint about, if I said something really dumb, throw it in the comments, and I'll probably respond to it because I respond to most of my comments that are starting a conversation. So with that, you guys have a great day. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.